like to welcome everyone officially to Senior Investiture for the class of 2018. It's one of my favorite days here at Tome. It's it's their first step towards graduation. I told them the other day when we rehearsed, it's the next time they hear me call their names, first, middle, and last name, we will be on the stage in June. So it's very exciting. It's an exciting year to be a Tome student, and we couldn't be more delighted with the efforts of the class of 2018. So Mr. Ford, if they are somewhere nearby, can you ask them to please come in? Mr. Dare, you want to? At this time, I'd like to ask Caitlin Tassone, President of the class of 2018, to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'd like to do a special welcome to faculty, former faculty, members of the Board of Trustees, and alumni who are here today to celebrate this special occasion. I received a phone call from Mrs. Judy Opfer, actually an email from Judy, right at the beginning of the school year. You all remember Mrs. Opfer, she would come in and help with Spanish and French. And she has been down to Florida where she caught up with the former head of school, Dr. Jim Sidgley. And Mr. Sidgley was head of school about 86, 88. And a very short tenure while he was here. However, he is responsible for starting our senior investiture in 1987. And he was so delighted, he is now 87 years old, and he was so delighted to hear that Tome School has continued this tradition every year since then. I would like to now tell you a little bit about the class of 2018. The senior class has 37 students. We had 15 members of the class, approximately 41%, who have been at Tome School for 13 years. And at this time, I'd like to ask them to stand. Congratulations. 81% of them have been here for 6 years, and this is why the Tome Way exists. 92% of them have played a sport at Tome. 89% of them have work experience, and 95% of our seniors have their driver's license. All of these statistics were compiled by our statistics class, which this year is our largest academic class here at Tome School with 26 students. The class is predominantly female. You can probably see a lot of ladies up here with, they outnumber boys 22 to 15. Most of them, a whopping 92%, live in Maryland. Nearly two-thirds of them have one sibling, and the vast majority have had a sibling who has attended Tome or is attending Tome. And I'd like to ask those seniors to please stand if you have a sibling who is currently a student here at Tome or an alumni of Tome. having the commitment and the foresight to look and understand and appreciate the value of a Tome education, not only with these students, but with your other children. Diverse interests. 30% of them are undecided for college majors, which I am very glad to hear. Certainly don't want to pigeonhole yourself too early. However, 22% want to go into medical, 27% into sciences, 11% in engineering. And that is a school who is not quite known for their STEM program, but certainly is promoting STEM throughout our academics. Half the seniors have a preference for cheese pizza. I have done my own little calculations, and I have learned that more than half of you are procrastinators. Late today. Although many of you arrived early this morning. And then 70% of them have traveled to a foreign country. So not only are they excellent students you will hear today, but they are well-traveled individuals. At this time, I would like to talk a little bit about each student before we do the official signing ceremony. And I'd like to ask each student to stand while I say a few words. So we're going to start with Allison Bailey. Allison is a lifer. She's been here for 13 years. And as I read through her resume, I was struck not only by its content, but by its clear organization, perfectly aligned tables, and details that accompany each entry. She is a young woman who is direct, accomplished, and frankly, she does not have time for the frivolities of life. Her contributions here at Tome include yearbook copy editor, Key Club volunteer, lower school tutor. She is always recognized every year for her hard work. But her true passion is with her horse and her pony club, where she has continued to increase her knowledge through its rigorous knowledge tests. This is Pony Club is a national organization that promotes interest for those that, as she put it, horse people. When she isn't riding, grooming, or caring for horses, she is thinking about them, either judging youngsters at a competition, and I understand you're even starting to write about them. She's toyed with the idea of a novel about horses. I hope it will be a young children's book, perhaps. Those kids little girls in lower school love their horse books. It is not a surprise that Allison has future plans that include veterinary science. Allison Bailey. Last year, our cheerleading team was dealt a real blow when Coach Leanne Higgins moved to Virginia. And it was a tough season as they adapted to a new coach, a new cheer style, and they had to remain positive for their fans. Under Corey's leadership as captain, they persevered. This past summer, they returned from UCA camp with high honors. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay, Corey? 2 second places in stunting and sideline cheering, and most importantly, the grand prize of sportsmanship. This was among over 700 cheerleaders. And how many schools, Corey? Around 30 schools. So not only a leader in the cheerleading team, she is captain of the field hockey team and a student council rep for the A class, that's 9A, 10A, 11A, and 12A. Her leadership is grounded in the idea of helping others, whether it's a young cheerleader or organizing Fall Fest with student council. And her eagerness to help others is having her consider a career in medicine. Corey Bleed. Thomas Brewer. So Tom has the distinction of being the only student in Tome School who has the trust of the head of school to drive me around in a 4-wheeler dune buggy. At that time, I'm pretty sure he didn't even know. You didn't have a license when that happened, Tom. And I trusted him because I was sure of one thing. Tom loves machines with 4 wheels. He is a car and motorcycle enthusiast who's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He thrives on figuring out how things work. His boss at the Bay Boat Works Marina shared with me that there is nothing that Thomas Brewer cannot do. And the same seems true around Tome, as Tom is one of our leaders on stage drill. In addition to his gifts for all things mechanical, Tom has earned varsity letters in both tennis and soccer. He has led the Toys for Tots campaign, I was trying to think, Tom, since about 7th grade. That's what I thought. And he is a constant helper on Friday afternoons in Mrs. Miller's 4th grade. Tom plans to study materials engineering and possibly at Alfred University. So, Tom Brewer. Harriet Dowell. Harriet is well named. Harriet's middle name is Patience, and she has an endless supply, whether she's working with younger students or approaching the challenges of life. She has become this year an integral part of a team of students that I like to call Jack's team, a 5th grader here at Tome. She has also been very instrumental in working with our lower school, implementing our new iPad initiative with 2nd graders, among others. Harriet started at Tome in 10th grade after relocating from New York. She is president of her 4-H club and an avid piano player. At Tome, she's part of the business division for Yearbook. And if you've ever had the pleasure of homemade ice cream from Broom's Bloom Dairy in Harford County, there's a good chance that Harriet scooped it. Harriet plans to study architecture in college. Lindsay Darling. Lindsay has a unique view of Tome since she joined the Tome family as a 10th grader. And join she did. Varsity tennis, I believe MVP last year. Drama club stage manager, key club officer, and leader in FCA. Lindsay is often seen wearing many hats at Tome, but her biggest accomplishment this past year was winning 3rd place at the Globals for Destination Imagination in Knoxville, Tennessee. Her team included 3 students from her former school, which gives you an idea of Lindsay's loyalty to friends and her commitment to creative thinking. She is a volunteer. She's involved in her youth group at her church and is a frequent volunteer at the Elkton Community Kitchen. Her idealistic view of the world makes her someone you want to be around. I commend her undecided projection for a major in college, and I hope you experiment, Lindsay, with different classes and you continue to join in them. Lindsay Darling. Francesca Gentile. I first met Frankie on the sand volleyball court in Newark during the summer before her 8th grade year. She was a solid server with magic fingers that could set the ball exactly where a hitter needs it. That talent has only developed further into the gifted athlete and team leader she is today. She plays volleyball in the off-season with a club team and what has become a second family for her. Frankie is also very instrumental in Tome's Environmental Club and the initiative last year to start donating unused fruit cups and other food items to the Paris Foundation Community Kitchen. Last year, Frankie added tutor to her resume when she worked with a middle school student after school 2 days per week. Frankie plans to become a dental hygienist. Frankie Gentile. Bailey Hale. All right, here's a simple truth about Bailey. He would rather be outside. He would rather be hunting, fishing, kayaking, or even working in the yard. His love of the outdoors led him straight to the Environmental Club, where he has served as president for 4 years. I'm not sure what we'll do next year. Last year, he added his gifts to the Envirothon team, which won the Cecil County Division and went on to compete at the state level. The only thing more important than the outdoors to Bailey is family. He's very connected to his parents, grandparents, and his brother Preston. Bailey can be found on the baseball diamond in the spring, and around Tome, he is often one of the go-to guys for stage crew. I was so delighted when I read Bailey's lists of interests and favorite classes and strengths that grammar is one of his strengths. Bailey plans to next year include study environmental science, preferably at a college not too far away from his family. Bailey Hale. Alyssa Harmer. I can hardly say Alyssa's name without smiling. There is something so radiant about Alyssa's happiness that she shines. Is she giggling? She's one of those people who's simply fun to be around. She has a supportive friend who is often seen at sporting events cheering on her classmates. An athlete herself, she is lettered in cross country, basketball, and her passion, soccer. Alyssa has already been in contact with area college soccer coaches who can not only use her exceptional talent on the pitch, but that effervescent smile. She is a member of Key Club, the Environmental Club, and has worked in a children's daycare for the past 2 summers. Because she likes the idea of helping people, Alyssa plans to study radiology. Alyssa Harmon. George plans to study building construction management. So this past summer, he landed a job with a construction company starting as a general laborer. This is not easy work. He will be very busy this afternoon as he is the business manager for our yearbook and will be collecting the ads and the commitments from those who support yearbook. He is also a 4-H counselor, has worn the Titan uniform for baseball, lacrosse, soccer, and he is a founding member of our golf team. George is also an outdoorsman, crabbing, fishing, hunting, but there's one thing that you should know about George, it is trap shooting. What I most admire about George, though, is that every year that he has been at Tome since 9th grade, he has shown consistent improvement, not only in his grades, but in his work ethic, his approach to his academics, and his ability. George Hughes. Jimmy's name is a consistent one on the director's list each quarter and the recipient of the Effort Award for French 1, French 2, and French 3. He is a member of the National Honor Society and stage crew. He came to Tome in 7th grade from small Aquinas Academy. His favorite classes at Tome are history and physics. He is the kind of student who prefers the straightforwardness of both of those classes. As he says, there is little to no ambiguity. Jimmy has been a steady player in the 7th period elective role-playing games and an integral member of our literary magazine staff. He wrote that one of the happiest days that he has had recently was spent in the pouring rain working at the Darlington Apple Festival roasting nuts. We made the festival goers, despite the pouring rain, smile, he wrote. He is contemplating a career in engineering. Jimmy Hewlett. Last November, you might know, Tome installed a new sound system in the gym. It was a huge improvement, and we are very grateful to the volunteers who assisted. The student sound engineer, who's responsible for making it all work, has become Panos. I have called Panos countless times, I can't tell you, pulling him out of class when I've been unable to get a squeak out of that system. He hits a few levers, moves a few switches, and like magic, beautiful music. I am not sure what stage crew will be without him next year. He is also a master of pizza dough. Yes, pizza. He's worked at Pat Select since 2013. He is gifted with language. He speaks 3 languages fluently. Outside of Tome, you might be surprised to learn that Panos' passion is skiing. He has been skiing since he was 5. His biggest contribution to Tome, though, is simply his smile. Panos' smile is infectious. His future plans include possible major in finance. Panos Kalamaris. Emma Kilman. Emma joined Tome in 10th grade, which must have been quite an adjustment, especially for a quiet and somewhat shy person like Emma. And knowing that to make the best of a transition, she joined right in with both field hockey and cheerleading. Cheerleading has become especially meaningful to Emma, as she had made a significant connection with Coach Higgins before she moved away. Emma's leadership on the team, like Corey, enabled the girls to become closer and adapt to the new coach. Emma babysits and volunteers at Freedom Hill's riding therapy program. Her smile can light up a room. Emma plans to study medicine with a possible military track after graduation. Emma Kilby. Lindsay is in perpetual motion. Editor-in-chief of the yearbook, captain of the volleyball team, tennis player, vice president of National Honor Society, member of the Environmental Club, and volunteer translator with Promise in Sight, the group of students who travel to Nicaragua to provide translation services for eye doctors. Thankfully, she lists juggling a lot of different responsibilities as one of her best attributes. As I mentioned, Lindsay was part of that Promise in Sight team. She found the experience humbling, and it made her consider a possible career in medicine. Lindsay is considering both University of Maryland and University of Virginia as possible schools for next year. And I am delighted and extremely proud to present Lindsay today with a letter of commendation for the National Merit Scholarship Program. She has been recognized as a commended scholar from the National Merit Scholarship Program. So Lindsay, congratulations. adjectives that come to mind when describing David Leadham. He is one of the lifers in class, following his sister Rachel, and a leader to little brother Christopher, class of 2030. That's our kindergarten class. David is a constant name seen on the director's list. In the spring, you can find him playing, is it center field? Outfield, that's what I thought, for the Titans. During the summer, and maybe even now, you might see David down at Woody's Crab House here in Northeast. He is undecided about what to study in college, but his favorite classes at Tome were physics and chemistry. So I would suspect perhaps a career in science in the future. David Leadham. Lindsay Llewellyn. So this past summer, I go to the YMCA to swim, where I would inevitably run into one of several Tome students who are lifeguards there. It seemed that every time I was there, Lindsay was working. She has two passions, basketball and serving her country in the military. And hopefully, Lindsay will be able to blend both. Perseverance. Perseverance is Lindsay's best attribute, whether it's on the basketball court or in the classroom. She has earned all conference or all tournament teams accolades in basketball, and she scored her 1,000th point last season. Lindsay is also a gifted artist with her work published in our literary magazine. Lindsay, not surprisingly, is considering one of the military academies for life after Tome. Lindsay Llewellyn. Luke LaCresto. Luke has been wearing a Tome uniform since he was in kindergarten, and just as significantly, he wore the Tome Titan cross country, basketball, and lacrosse uniforms proudly. He was a driving source in resurrecting the lacrosse team in 2015 and is the captain of that team. And when not playing any of these sports himself, he can be found helping younger students learn the games, either on the court or on the field. He annually participates in the tree planting in both Cecil County Parks and Rec and at the Delaware Nature Society. Luke is undecided about what he plans to study in the future, but is considering attending McDaniel or Salisbury. And Luke, I hope your passion for lacrosse will continue to be part of your collegiate career. Luke LaCresto. Anna Martin. Anna is another lifer here at Tome. She is a student who has taken full advantage of everything Tome has to offer. She is outgoing, smart, and has a take-charge ability that is a hallmark of leadership. She is a role model for younger Tome students, exemplar student, hard worker, and good citizen. She is added to the Tome community through student government, National Honor Society, and she will be director of this year's Drama Club play. She simply helps out whenever she is needed, whether that is someone studying or simply lending a hand. She taught me a new word this week, and hopefully I get it right, deltiologist. Deltiologist, a person who studies postcards. Through this hobby, she has traveled across the country and even overseas to trade postcards, learn about our nation's history, and has a special appreciation for the lost art of letter writing. Anna has especially loved her literature and composition classes at Tome and is considering a career in law. Cody McDaniel. So before I actually taught Cody, I only knew him as the little kid who was really good at karate. And I was so happy to learn that martial arts is still a part of his life. He is funny, athletic, and a team player. And he's the kind of guy you want on your team. As a Titan, Cody is lettered in cross country, basketball, and lacrosse. And just this year, he has joined the soccer team where he is saving goals with incredible agility. Cody is a lifelong Northeast resident and a lifelong Tomer. Cody thrives on structure, so he's looking at military schools like Valley Forge or Virginia Military Institute. And a side note, I was surprised to learn that Cody lists a weakness as Casey cakes. Cody McDaniel. Jared Moxley. Jared's life revolves around his studies, service to others, and Boy Scouts. He is a member of the National Honor Society, the soccer team, and the tennis team. And he is a pivotal member of our Envirothon team. Jared is currently getting ready to install his Eagle Scout project here at Tome, which is building blue boxes on the perimeter of the campus. He traveled to Europe this past summer with Mr. Noboon and the group that went to Italy and France. And he traveled to Nicaragua last January with Promise in sight. That trip only solidified his desire to study medicine, and now with an added desire to work for an organization like Doctors Without Borders. Jared, I'm also pleased to announce that Jared has been recognized as a commended scholar with the National Merit Scholarship Program. So I'd like at this time to congratulate Jared Moxley. Sierra Narvell. Three adjectives that describe Sierra are brave, humble, and curious. She arrived at Tome in 8th grade after having been homeschooled. So talk about bravery. Further evidence of her courage includes being the only girl for 2 years in a row on our newly resurrected golf team. As president of the junior class, she was an integral part of planning last year's prom. And this past summer she humbly served in Kenya on a mission trip where she experienced a world very different from our own. She is an accomplished pianist, having taken lessons for over 11 years. Her music is a real comfort to her. She has also spent countless hours at the Northeast Adventure Park, where she is sometimes, I think, the boss of some of her classmates, if I'm not mistaken. And her future plans include a career in medicine or work at the United Nations. Sierra Narvell. Colin Palmieri. So when I think of Colin, I can't help but think of three things. Apple cider donuts, Christmas caroling in the lobby, and lacrosse, but mostly lacrosse. Colin has been an instrumental member of the founding of our lacrosse team. He's a leader on the field, and his easygoing personality makes people feel at ease. He works tirelessly on the family farm at Milburn Orchards, and at this time of year, it is a special treat when Colin arrives with a little bag of donuts. Family is incredibly important to Colin, as he has been a constant presence following his brother Mackie. Colin has also spent significant time volunteering at the Mary Randall Center, the Fairhill Recreational Center, Union Hospital, and with FCA to feed the homeless. I think of caroling around this tree because every Christmas, Colin is always in the lobby singing, and Mr. Palmieri makes an annual appearance at caroling around the tree, and I hope that will continue even after Colin graduates. Colin Palmieri. Lauren Canal. When I read through Lauren's resume, I was struck by how much growth can occur from being a somewhat unsure, awkward, very sweet 5th grader to a joyful, hardworking, and still very sweet 12th grader. I was not at all surprised that Lauren is considering a career in social work. She is a student council officer, a member of our drama club, Key Club, and where I see her most frequently, heading past the office down to the lower school to work with younger students. This past summer, Lauren lent her time and devotion to children, working with an organization called Hope for Kids Leadership Academy, where she learned to be both a mentor and a leader who influences others. Lauren holds a part-time job at Olay Spa in Elkton. Here at Tome, her quiet leadership has added unity, friendship, and most importantly, kindness to our senior class. Lauren Panazzo. Alyssa Parrish-Gevich. To say that Alyssa has taken advantage of all that Tome has to offer would be an understatement. She embodies Tome, National Honor Society, student government, cross-country, soccer, cheerleading, Key Club, and FCA. Her most meaningful activity has been volunteering with Special Olympics, where she works the soccer games. And like many of her classmates, she works well under pressure. Along with Sierra, she planned and executed an incredible prom last spring as class vice president. Alyssa has mastered a valuable lesson well beyond her years. She appreciates the balanced life: school, sports, church, and friendships. She plans to study forensic psychology or cognitive neuroscience. Apparently, she loves learning about the brain. It will be strange not to see Alyssa around Tome after graduation next year. Alyssa Harris Gavin. Victoria Peterson. So I remember giving Victoria and her dad a tour of Tome, where we were in this room and we talked about softball and Tome traditions. And 3 softball seasons later, here we are, Victoria. Victoria served Tome well. Student Council's secretary last year and our current Student Council president. She is one of the yearbook photographers and has done hair and makeup for the drama club. She still finds time to work part-time at Barnes Corner Fitness, and she has shared her love of softball with young athletes by coaching Little League up in Rising Sun. She is a member of National Honor Society and has earned performance awards in Spanish 2, 3, and 4 as a junior. She is undecided for a major in college, but I have no doubts about her success wherever she chooses. Victoria Peterson. Ailish Roos. So I remember when I first met Ailish, she was pretty much attached to my teaching partner, Mrs. Roos. And with every new September, I've had the pleasure to watch Ailish grow more independent and grow into a confident, smart young woman she is today. Key Club, National Honor Society, Student Council, Envirothon, Environmental Club, and especially volleyball occupy all of Ailish's time. And Tome benefits from her gifts. Her teachers are quick to mention how hardworking and earnest Ailish is in the classroom. Last year, she tutored a middle schooler by teaching him the value of study skills. Study smarter, not harder. She applies her work ethic in all aspects of her life. School, work at the Byard House restaurant, or on the volleyball court. Ailish Roos. Good morning, Fahad. So every morning for the past several years, I think Fahad had been the last person off the Aberdeen bus. That bus carries children to school. And Fahad stays in the back and waits for all of them to get out. And over those past 4 years, I have watched Fahad get taller and taller. So then now he had to sort of do this graceful tilt of his head to be sure he didn't hit the ceiling on his way out. And not once in all those times has he failed to say, "Good morning, Mrs. Szymanski.